400%.
Not 300, not 200, 400%. That's how much we grew our business in 18 months.
And it almost killed us. We made 5 mistakes, probably more, and we're going to tell you about them so you can avoid them.
Mistake number 1 that we made was hiring the wrong people. I will never forget pulling into the parking lot and just stopping and looking at this business that we'd built and not wanting to cross the threshold. I was miserable, my people were miserable, and it wasn't that we hired everyone wrong, but we'd hired a couple of people that weren't a great fit. And it wasn't that they were horrible people. It was just that they didn't fit our culture. We didn't know how to hire for our culture. We didn't know how to hire for both competence and character, which are things that are critical to how we think nowadays. We didn't understand kind of the way that we were put together. And let's face it, rapid growth, you are hiring warm bodies sometimes, and you're making the job descriptions up as you go. So even knowing how to hire for those job descriptions was complicated. So we have since learned and put into place some really critical processes for understanding how to hire for competence, how to hire for character, and then who we are as an organization so that we're hiring for our culture. We're hiring people who actually fit who we are and where we're going. So those critical things are the way that we're avoiding this horrible mistake that we made of just hiring some wrong people that made it miserable to be at work.
Mistake number 2 is we said yes to the wrong clients. Matter of fact, we said yes to every prospect. We didn't say no to one flipping person. And that eventually became an incredible problem because what you do is you bring on clients that are difficult, challenging, and maybe you can't even help. But you say yes because they want to hire you. They're coming with a wallet and you're like, yes. And you're also afraid. You get in this place where as you're growing and running a business, will this business be here tomorrow? I've heard it said, you never say no to business. But what we learned along the way is that those problems can be enormous. We had one client who would call all the time at the wrong hours. And one weekend, my daughter and I were spending some time together going shopping, and I got the phone call from the client that I didn't want to talk to. What did I do? I answered it. I listened to him talk for 45 minutes while my daughter sat there in a parking lot waiting for me to get off the phone. That wasn't cool, and I never want to do that again. But in the midst of that process, we learned some valuable lessons that you don't have to say yes to everybody. In fact, there are actually good clients that are going to help you grow your company. There are clients that are going to get in the way. And when you learn that and you learn how to choose those clients and process that through, you'll have a much better chance of scaling and surviving the scale.
So mistake number 3 that we made was that we did not prioritize rest. There are thousands of studies about how important rest is for problem solving, for good judgment, good decision making, and how when we're not resting, all of those things get compromised. But when we're growing fast, we buy into this illusion and this sort of rat racy feeling like I just need to keep working. So we're working 7 days a week and just trying to do more things on the checklist. And we did that. And it impacted our marriage, it impacted our daughter, it just impacted the quality of our life, which made it even less desirable to keep doing this thing that we had created. So resting, this concept where even God didn't work 7 days a week, right? He instituted Sabbath because our bodies, our brains, we need to rest. We're designed to rest. So the more we prioritize rest, the more able we are to grow well and keep our companies moving forward in a way that's sustainable.
Mistake number 4 is we didn't manage our culture. When we started growing like crazy, we thought everything would take care of itself that was already there. One of those things was our culture. We had a great culture, a great community. We were all having fun. But as things grew, it just became more and more stressful. You start to look at,
I've got to get this done, I've got to get this done, I've got to get this done.
The points of hiring somebody or getting a new client onboarded or anything like that start to take over, and you think, well, culture's going to be fine, we're going to have it. And all of a sudden you turn around down the road and you realize that it hasn't gone well. It grew crazy. Matter of fact, culture is based in this whole idea of agriculture in a garden, and you have to cultivate it, because if you don't pay attention, the weeds will start growing all over the place. And we had all this stress and challenges and problems in our culture. We forgot what was important, and we just started working on what was urgent. And if you've ever seen the quadrant before, the most critical and important quadrant to work in is the things that are not urgent, but are important. And when you forget to work on those things because the fire alarms are going off, everything is going to go sideways, including your culture. And for us, it did. And the way we fixed it is we got back to fundamentals and started paying attention to, did we hire, train, and fire to our core values and our culture? And did we actually invest in it every day and every week a little bit so that it maintained the quality we wanted? So when we came to work the next day, we actually came to something we enjoyed doing. The fifth mistake we made, which was probably the largest mistake we made, was we didn't grow our leadership at the pace our company grew.
One of the mistakes in the middle of that was we had had lots of leadership training. We knew how to lead. We thought we were great leaders.
Other people thought we were good leaders.
But it turned out that when you're growing the company at the pace that we were growing it, we were not equipped for that kind of growth. And it literally outpaced us. It outpaced our leadership. It outpaced our skill set.
One of the sayings we heard a lot, you might have heard it too, is that growing too fast can actually kill your company. You actually don't want it to grow too fast. And there's this sweet spot, this Goldilocks place.
This one's just right.
We didn't find it and we didn't know about it until we started growing, and then all of a sudden we started realizing, oh my gosh, this is why they say that thing. The other thing we learned from a mentor was your shadow needs to be long. He doesn't actually even bring on any clients that don't have a long shadow, he says. And what does he mean by that? He means their leadership and capacity. It turns out that when you grow a company beyond your shadow or your leadership and capacity, the company will spike up, but it will always come back down. It will shrink to the size of the leader. If you want your company to be large, you have to be the leader of a large company. Even before it's there, invest, be ready. So when the opportunity comes, you're pacing with it. So you've heard about the 5 mistakes we made, and we were left with one decision.
Do we keep moving forward or do we shut it down? And understand, shutting it down was a viable option. We were miserable, but we decided to go ahead and retool, make that decision, and keep moving forward.
Now that sounds like the obvious thing, but we had one major problem in front of us, our ego. We had grown a company 400% in 18 months. Do you know how rare that is? Incredibly rare. And it was really easy for us to get caught up in the look at how awesome we are, look at what we did, because people were talking about us and we were on podcasts and things were happening and we were excited and we had more money in the bank. And it was easy to say all of those mistakes weren't our fault. All of those mistakes were other people's fault. And we had to humble ourselves and actually come into a place where we said, you know what? No matter how successful the company was, there were a lot of people involved. We didn't do it all and we made a lot of mistakes. Are we gonna continue to grow and keep the company healthy and thriving, or make it better and learn from our mistakes? And we chose the second.
So that's the choice you have too, because all of us are going to make mistakes. You've probably made some of these mistakes. And the question is, are you going to be teachable? Are you going to be able to learn from those mistakes so that you can grow the company that you're dreaming of?
So would you leave a story about your mistakes and how you solved them in the comments below?